So I'm Suzanne Krellin, research chair, as he said, of the group Oxford People Against the Landfill, and we're better known as the Opal Alliance. And I'd like to thank Candace and the other event organizers for inviting Opal to participate tonight. Our nonprofit citizen volunteer organization was formed in response to a threat that came into our community in March of 2012, and that is the Walker Industries Southwestern Landfill proposal. You can learn more about us online. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and opalalliance.ca. Our situation in Oxford County is somewhat unique in that we have about 75 aggregate pits and quarries operating within our boundaries, and the landfill is proposed to be sited within one of the largest open-faced mines in our county. The Carmoose Lime Quarry is what many would call a mega quarry. The current licensed area is somewhere around 2,300 acres, and it's similar in size to the recently defeated Highland Mega Quarry proposal that some of you may be familiar with. That was the Stop the Quarry campaign. So what we have is about 200 acres, that's the size of about 200 football fields, within this active quarry that they say they're going to be blasting for about 175 more years. Decades of dynamite blasts have further fractured what's already a naturally fractured limestone bedrock environment. And this 200 acres is proposed as the home for about 20 years worth of trash from predominantly the Greater Toronto area. Walker Industries is a private landfill company from around Niagara, and they say they'd be trucking in around 850,000 tons per year of industrial, commercial, institutional, and residential waste, along with additional trucks containing asbestos and contaminated industrial brownfield soil, which they say they'd be using as daily cover soil. If this proposal for a massive landfill for mainly Toronto's garbage is reminding you of the Adams Mine Dump proposal, you're not alone. Opal has been fortunate to have a key figure from the Adams Mine battle as an ally in our fight. Dr. Larry Jensen is a hydrogeologist who helped to prove that putting millions of tons of trash into the Adams Mine in Northern Ontario would have put the drinking water for millions of people at risk. As a resident of our county, he knows that the landscape is fractured in this area and concurs with our consultants and our legal team at SELA that Walker's proposal is too risky to be allowed to go forward. The proposed site of the Southwestern Landfill sits right on top of the aquifer that provides drinking water for the town of Ingersoll, immediately adjacent to the site, and our closest municipal well is only about 1,000 meters away from the proposed landfill. The Area Source Water Protection Committee has identified it as a high vulnerability aquifer, which is the highest level of vulnerability to contamination, and it's what's called a significant groundwater recharge area as well. The Carmoose Lime Quarry property also has a beautiful quarry lake on it that would likely fall within the landfill's buffer zone. And the site's only about 500 meters from the Thames River, which is deemed a Canadian heritage river. Opal's key concern with the proposal has always been the protection of water for those in Oxford County. We are 100% dependent on ground source water for our drinking water within the county. And there's 104,000 residents that need to drink from that aquifer and connecting aquifers. And the water's also used for our $640 million a year agricultural industry in the county. Recently, we had MP Charlie Angus, known for fighting the Adams Mine Dump, as the keynote speaker at one of our Opal events. And when he learned we were having trouble getting answers from the landfill company and that they wouldn't allow our hydrogeologists to visit the site, he told us that the groundwater is the key, you're not getting straight answers on the water, and that tells me to be suspicious. A provincial process that puts the landfill proponent at the helm has discouraged the people who live in our communities. Ontario's own Code of Practice for Environmental Assessments tells us the process is proponent-driven, and that's been evident by the amount of work that our committee, Opal, and all of our volunteers have had to do to engage the public in a process that Walker would rather most of us sit out. Ingersoll and area citizens in the county have learned a lot from the information that Opal shared with them over the past year and a half, and they continue to come out to key council sessions, protests, and events. They do not want this landfill to crush their towns and potentially devastate our health, our economy, and our environment. The government's already approved a plan for rehabilitating this quarry property. It's all laid out in a site plan approved by the Ministry of Natural Resources. The Aggregate Resources Act says the only way that a site license for a quarry can be surrendered is after progressive and final rehabilitation has been completed. So why are Oxford County residents having to fight a dump for someone else's trash when we've been promised a recreational quality green space on that property? Opal believes it's time for the Ministry of Natural Resources to enforce existing provincial laws, and we also support the aim of CELA to have Ontario's Environmental Protection Act amended so that landfills are banned within areas that provide no natural protective barriers. We also believe it's time for the province to become progressive about waste management strategies. Landfilling is not sustainable, and we can't keep throwing trash into holes in the ground and expect that it's not going to affect people. We've already seen examples from around the province where leaking landfills have had detrimental consequences. Last week, I was part of a group that accompanied Opal's chairperson on a visit to Queen's Park, where we witnessed our petition on inappropriate landfill siting being read in the legislature. Our MPP will be reading it again, so if you haven't signed it yet, please consider signing it tonight. It's on the media table over there. At the end of October, Opal and our allies delivered about 13,000 signed letters to the Ministry of the Environment, asking them to deny approval to the terms of reference for Walker's landfill proposal. We also submitted a 125-page response to the terms of reference prepared by our volunteers, along with expert consultant reports and a hard-hitting legal critique that I would like to thank Richard Lindgren, the keynote speaker here tonight, for preparing on our behalf. It was excellent. And now we wait. The decision from the MOE will be announced next month, and at that time, we'll learn whether we will be devoting thousands more volunteer hours and the donations of our hardworking friends and neighbors to continue this battle for the safety of our communities, or if the government will do the right thing and deny 2 private companies the chance to risk our drinking water for their own financial gain. Thank you.